We got to start with the biggest upset here. Alabama playing Florida State 31-17, a heartbreaker for Alabama, but more than that, it seemed like Alabama had some sort of problems, underlying problems maybe in that defense. A lot of guys looked like they quit late in the game. Matt, what are you looking at with this team going forward, as well as FSU and Tommy Castellanos?
Yeah, so I actually know the two leading tacklers for Alabama pretty well, Bray Hubbard and Justin Jefferson, and both social media had a field day with their effort. From what I know about both of them, and I know their character, they are two of the hardest working individuals that you'll ever meet. I think that got blown out of proportion a little bit there at the end. I don't really believe that team gave up. Um, so I wanted to start with that. I think that Alabama's as a whole, right? They did look less inspired than in the past, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it's not an SEC game. I mean, obviously, you want to, it's overreaction. You want to wave the white flag already on Alabama. I would kind of hold up and wait on that for a little bit. I mean, they just brought in a new offensive play caller. So, I mean, everything just got to add a new quarter. Well, Ty Simpson's been there forever, but all things considered, like I think this group just needs a little more time to play together. And I didn't. I mean, I was not. I don't think I'd wave the white flag on Alabama yet. I think this is more about Florida State. Florida State last year was a top 10 team preseason. They came out, they lost in dramatic fashion overseas, over across the pond to Georgia Tech. And ever since that game happened, that team, who was, by the way, a roster that was built like a top 10 team, was awful. And it's just the way that things can snowball. They bring in a guy who beat them a year ago in Thomas Castellanos. I know he's going by Tommy now. Probably when he goes to the NFL, he's going to go by Tom. It's just like, it's the way that it works, the progression with him. But he played like his job depended on it, like his career depended on it. And it did. After everything that he had said and all the comments that he had made before that game, I'd make the case like that was the most important game that he'll ever play in his collegiate career. He's played a lot of big games at Boston College. He was a baller. He played for Bill O'Brien last year. Obviously, that relationship did not end the way that most up in Chestnut Hill had hoped for. But he goes down to Tallahassee and he gets the job done after talking all the talk that he could ever want, and it worked. It worked. I will say, when you look at this at the end of the year, I don't think this game is going to be as surprising as it is right now. I think Florida State is a borderline playoff team. They're going to have the opportunity to play the big guys in the ACC. They have an avenue to be a serious contender for a national championship. Their offensive line, I actually really like at Florida State. I have liked it for the last 3 years. I think when you look back to that undefeated team that didn't get in the playoff, people really like to just count out Florida State. Their defensive line, their entire defensive line is playing in the NFL from that team. Jared Verse is one of the best defenders in the National Football League. Like I think that people like to count out Florida State very fast, and we discredit a lot of what they can do, despite them being an elite college football team over the past 2 decades. So and when you look back at this, I think Alabama's still a 9-win team. I think they find a way to sneak in to the college football playoff, and I do think Florida State might be a college football playoff team as well. And who knows, they might see each other again in the end, might go differently then, right? Like you just don't know. So I would pause on the overreactions on that game.
A lot of people are calling for Kalen DeBoer's head. Do you see it that way?
Well, here's the thing: he's not going to get fired this year. Kalen DeBoer, even if he doesn't get to 9 wins this year, then next year his seed is hotter than anyone's in the country. If he can squeak out 9 wins, I still think obviously people in Tuscaloosa are going to be upset. I mean, and rightfully so. It's Alabama, but next year, if you don't get to that 9-win threshold and you do it again, and you have to be a top 6 team in the country the following year, or else you're fired. Look at Ryan Day. I mean, Ryan Day a year ago, if he doesn't win the national championship, I make the case he gets fired. So I mean, you know how cutthroat college football is, and you got to win with the amount of money that's being invested now. You have to win almost every game that you play. And if you don't, your job comes into question. And that's what's going to continue to happen, especially when you're the head coach at Alabama following Nick Saban.
Yeah,